Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Marsh. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for coming out. We have a very intimate audience tonight. That's good. Our first Monday Night Marsh of the new year. Many more to come. Glad that you're here. Monday Night Marsh is my favorite night of the week at the Marsh because you don't know what you're going to see. People are working and reworking material, and it's like you get to see shows in progress. I think it's really fascinating, and I think you'll enjoy it. Tonight, our performers will be Anthony Jefferson, Laura Jane Bailey, and Koorosh Ostawari. But a little quick pre-show business. So first, the mandatory cell phone announcement thing, not to anybody in particular, just to the audience in general. So it doesn't ring in the middle of somebody's performance. And in case you need to, in an emergency, right behind me to the left, it's what we call an emergency exit. That's sort of fancy technical lingo, but it's where you go in an emergency. All right. And well, I'm wondering, are we having a Q&A tonight? We are having a Q&A as we always have, probably 10, 15 minutes with the performers. So you and the audience, and if there's anybody in our Zoom stream, hello, just in case, can ask questions of our performers. Anything that has to do with their performance, why they wrote it, or what motivated them, or what you particularly liked, what you'd like to see more of in these works in progress. Oh, and just so you know, we have other things going here at the Marsh. At our Berkeley Theater through January 28th. And it's a show that started right here on the Monday Night Marsh stage, which is really cool. The absolutely marvelous, fabulous, amazing Bay Area legend Marga Gomez performs Swimming with Lesbians. And to quote, it is a full steam cruise ship farce that takes place aboard the SS Salesbian. Yeah, I haven't seen it all together, but the parts she did here were very funny. Anyway, so check that out. And our main stage, which is what I'm standing on, and upstairs, Sketchfest is here at the Marsh. Yeah, from the 19th through February 4th, January 19th through February 4th. So our regular shows will be here at this site will be suspended, but Sketchfest. So come and enjoy. So any information about the Sketchfest or other shows, go to the marsh.org website. All right, so phones off, or at least your ringers, pretty please. All right, I believe it. All right, our first performer tonight is Anthony Jefferson in the Bumpy Road Less Traveled. This show is drawn from AJ's experiences over the 23 years he was incarcerated in Soledad State Prison and the road he traveled to and from that prison cell. Please welcome Anthony Jefferson.
Hurry up. Get that shit off, you dumbass motherfuckers. Now, you are going to fuck up, but try not to piss me off because you are a bunch of fuck ups. Nuts to butts. Roll out. Turn to the left. Put your shit down. All right, you dumb motherfuckers. Now, this is the drill. Hands out. Wiggle your fingers. Right foot. Left foot. Now. Both hands behind your ears and move them forward like you're Dumbo, dumbasses. Hands out. With your left hand, open your mouth. With your right index finger, swirl around your entire mouth. Do it now. Yeah, how you go? Good. Now, with your left hand, grab your balls. With your right hand, swipe 3 times. Go. Well, not bad. Now here comes the tricky part. So listen up and listen up well. With your left hand, grab your left butt cheek. With your right hand, grab your right butt cheek. Spread your cheeks. Bend over. Stand back up. Squat 3 times. And then cough as loud as you can. Go! Wow. I'll be damned. Grab your shit. Get dressed. In 1992, I was convicted of 187A, murder in the first degree. It's 8 years later. I shaved for the first time. On the yard, they used to call me booty mouth, booty mouth, booty mouth. They always said it behind my back, though. The prison system in California is run much like our military. You have the warden, associate warden, deputy warden, captains, lieutenants, and then the everyday CO. One of the most important questions that is ever asked of you when you are in the prison system in California is, Orleans, where you from? Say, blood, where you from, huh? Say, cuz, where you from? You from down south? What's up? I went to orientation. And see, being raised by a sergeant in the Air Force gave me a leg up. J58635, sir. Excuse me, sir? Where am I from? Sir, I'm from a mother's room right down the street from fallopian tubes, sir. What did I say? Sir, I'm from mother's womb right down the street from fallopian tubes, sir. Smart ass. I figure it's better than being the opposite. Sir, do I want a job? Yeah, I can type. Yeah, I can find. Being a smart ass got me a job for 7 cents an hour. When I got back to the cell, hey, Trey, hey, I heard you're the new captain's clerk. Lieutenant's clerk, homie. Hey, well, take this kite. I had just broken a prison rule. I didn't know who was giving me this kite, but I accepted it. Say, man, I need you to hold this. It was a piece of black tar heroin. How did I know it was heroin? Because I'd never seen it before, because it was blacker than me. So I took it. See, there's certain things you don't ever want to be called while you're in prison. Snitch ass, bitch ass, or coward ass motherfucker. Next morning, I went to work, took the piece of heroin, put it underneath the desk, took out the trash, went back to the cell, and I had become a legend. the last thing you want to do is have somebody put a jacket on you that you don't know how to take off. You know, being in prison, the way I was, because I believed that I deserved to be there, it's not much. You know, they don't teach you how to get out of prison. What they do teach you while you're in prison is how to be a better criminal. I'd already demonstrated that. J58635, get ready. You're going to the BPH. Board of Prison Hearing. I went to one before. I didn't even know how to prepare for myself. Yeah. Sir, have a seat. Thank you, sir. My name? J58635, sir. My middle name. Anthony Michael Jefferson, 35, sir. Relax. Sir, I haven't relaxed in 10 years. We're here because I committed murder in 1992, sir. How do we get here? I don't know, sir. I really don't know. I know that I took somebody's innocent life, and it's my responsibility for doing it. But I couldn't tell you how it got here. Yes, sir, I graduated from school. Maricosta High School, we met Hermosa Beach, 1982. Yeah, I surfed, played football, dove, fished. Are you familiar with it? Like Redondo Beach. Yeah, nice pier. Yes, sir. How reconcile? I can't reconcile it, sir. I just don't know. Hey, sir, have you ever read the book by George Steinbeck of Mice and Men? Well, it's kind of like that, sir. The best laid plans of mice and men. We're done? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Rock 6. Do I know? Yeah. Yeah, I know who that is. It's my sister. You know, getting a letter in prison is like it's like a commodity. You get a couple letters a day, a week, says that people love you. You get a letter like I do, maybe once every 2 months, says people care. You get a periodical, oh man, that's the best because you can sell that. This letter is from my sister, Victoria. It smells like coconut oil, cinnamon. It smells like home. I love hating getting letters from my sister. Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, all he left me was alone. In prison, you'll always hear somebody say, I got you, homie. I got love for you, Holmes. I got your back, dog. Don't you trip. When I go to the canteen, I'll get you some soups. For 10 years, I did hear those words, and I didn't know if I ever deserved to hear those words again in my life. I know I wanted desperately to hear them, though. You know, one thing you never hear in prison, 2 consonants, 2 vowels. Fuck it, I'll say it. I want to go home. I want to go home. I've been in 5 prisons, seen 4 shootings, 3 guards get stabbed, 2 race riots. I didn't get touched. Saw 1 person go home. It was my cellie, and he went in a pine box. I want to go home. Five eight. Yeah, what's up? Today's your unlucky day. Your points have dropped. My points have dropped. Yeah, get your shit together. They're gonna take you to CMC East. You're now level 2. California prison system is ran on a point system. When I entered in 1992, I had 72 points. The system lost me for 2 years. Ain't that about a bitch? I don't even know if I wanted to be found. Yeah, J58634. Where am I going again? CMC East. Yeah, I know. Fuck you. Cuff it up. This is just another bus ride on the bumpy road less traveled.
Well, only one word for that. Wow. Anthony Jefferson, everybody. All right, and as our tradition at Monday Night March, on to something completely different. Our next performer is Laura Jane Bailey in an excerpt from her show, Super Secret Superpower. This is the origin story of how one average, ordinary girl realizes she has a mind-blowing new power. What an unbelievable gift. Or is it? Please welcome Laura Jane Bailey.
Now, when I graduated from college, I moved straight to Chicago. Now, I don't use my invisibility superpower all the time because most of the time I want to be visible. I mean, I'm going to be an actress. I want to be seen, right? I'm on the train, on my way to work. I work in a theater. Not as an actress. It's an office job, but still, the theater. I'm sitting on the train, looking out the window, fantasizing about my big break. We cross the river and I realize, oh, my stop is coming up. So I shake myself out of my reverie and I look around the train car and notice that all the other mid-morning commuters have left and I'm alone. Oh, wait, no, not alone. There's a guy at the other end of the train car staring at me. He's looking at me, or is he looking through me? Oh God, I've never witnessed this sort of superpower before. Now, when superpowers are used for evil, we call them villains. Now, villains are really just the heroes of their own story. I mean, the Penguin wasn't born evil. His parents abandoned him in a sewer. He was just looking for love. But our Batman perspectives, these are villains with whom we must do battle. So I sit in my chair and I contemplate my next move. I play with the tiny solitaire necklace my fiance has given me. The Penguin continues to stare at me. So I zip up my sweatshirt and I put my hands in my lap. I look out the window to the street where all the other worker bees are walking the streets of Chicago, and hopefully I will soon be joining them. I look around the train car just in case maybe I missed someone. And I did. Right in front of me, there sits, you guessed it, Dolly Parton. Dolly silently indicates to me to raise my purse in front of me and use it as sort of a shield. Oh, the train comes to a stop. I jump off, I run off the train, I run through the turnstile, down the street. Ah, victory is mine, I made it. I contemplate getting a muffin at Mrs. Fields to celebrate when all of a sudden a hand reaches from behind me and sticks its sand in my shirt. The hand belongs to the man on the train. He rubs a piece of cloth all over my chest. Then he rips open my shirt and he runs towards the subway. I scream. A woman stops to help. A man flags down a cop. Another man chases the guy in the subway but loses him. The cop asks me, well, did he steal anything? Check for the necklace. It's still there. And my purse. No, I don't think he took anything. Well, can you give me a description of the guy? Can't tell him he looked like the Penguin. No, I don't think I can. Well, do you want to report this or not? Because if you can't give me a description, I can't go find the guy. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Well, little lady, why don't you go home, take the rest of the day off and think about what you might want to do? Okay. And the cop walks off. And I'm standing there all alone on the corner of Wabash and Randolph on a bright, sunny summer day. I look down, and in the gutter is that cloth that the man rubbed on my chest. Turns out it was a lady's old slip covered in grease and dirt. I left it in the gutter and went to my office. My office mates comfort me and clean me up. Oh my God, in the middle of the day? Oh, honey, take off that dirty sweatshirt, put on this souvenir t-shirt. He rubbed what on your chest? My boss hands me $20 from petty cash and tells me to take the rest of the day off and take a cab home. Oh, and if you want to use my office to call anyone, why don't you do that? Why don't you just rest in there before you go home? So I sat in her office and I listened to my coworkers outside the door. Oh my God, I was mugged a couple of years ago and they took everything. I was on Rush Street last week and some guy walked up and just grabbed my boob. He rubbed what on her chest? I decided to call my fiance and tell him about the incident, but he doesn't pick up. He never picks up. So I decided just not to tell him. I mean, the guy didn't hurt me physically. He didn't take anything. And I really didn't want to ruin the wedding taking place in 2 weeks. And it was then when I decided, right then, that if I could be invisible anytime I left my house, I would. Could I make myself that small, that inconsequential, that insignificant? Do I have that much superpower? Now, being invisible when you're getting married is it's a little challenging because, first of all, there's that big white dress. Then there's all the cameras and people want to talk to you. So I wait until after the honeymoon. My Prince Charming and I start our new life together. And I learn more and more tricks on how to become invisible in public. Now, I'm debating whether or not to tell you the how of invisibility. It's not an easy process, and it's not for everyone. In fact, maybe it's different for everyone. And like you said at the beginning, the name of this show is Super Secret Superpower. But if you promise not to tell anyone, like swear on a stack of your sacred text of choice, that you will not tell anyone how to do this, I will tell you how I do. The first thing you do, clean off your workspace. Kind of like when you're making a big complicated recipe or a holiday meal, you want to wipe down all the counters and gather all the equipment, measure out all the ingredients. But in this case, I needed to pack up my spirit. I searched every nook and cranny of my body and my mind to where my spirit occupied. And I gathered it all up. And I gently placed it, lovingly, in a cigar box. The cigar box was lined with the scent and the flavor of my grandmother's fried chicken. Oh, and it also included the lyrics to all my favorite yacht rocks. And it included the memory of how my high school boyfriend kissed me. Placed it all in the box, and I put the box on a table right by my front door where I kept my purse and my keys, easily accessed when I returned home every day. Now, the next part of the recipe is really simple. It's 1 part adipose, which ended up being about 100 pounds, which took a surprisingly little amount of time to gain, and the equal parts terminated pregnancy. And that combination did the trick. I was now in complete of my invisibility superpower. Now, my new husband didn't really notice that I was invisible in public. He was so busy with his job and with all of his employees. So I decided to go out and get bland and boring office jobs where no one bothered to learn my name. It was great. There was no one there asking me to pull down my blouse and show them the goods. I loved it. I also took hours of improv training, so kindly suggested by good old what's his name at the theater school I went to. I ended up going to a real acting school and learning real acting technique. I went to thousands of auditions, no budget show after no budget show, and suddenly I worked my way into being a working actress. I quit all those bland and boring office shows and I called myself an actress. Now, being invisible in public or in the lobby versus being hyper visible on stage really wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. All I had to do, open the box, breathe in all 5 senses, all my memories, all those guilty pleasures, and I was ready for the spotlights. Yeah.
Invisibility, the ultimate superpower. Laura Jane Bailey, everybody. All right. Our final performer this evening is Koorosh Ostawari in Zombie Nation. This is a show about tenants representing a cross-section of Americans coping with the high cost of living, loneliness, depression, and their landlord in a Mission Dolores apartment complex. Please welcome Koorosh Ostawari.
To talk to you about what it's like to be a landlord in San Francisco. I got a call from several tenants in a building I own in the Mission Dolores area that there's some kind of a leak in the building. And so I arranged to meet with Joe, my plumber, at the building on a Thursday so that we can inspect the units and figure out where the leak is coming from.
Oh, God, yeah. Phew. The leak doesn't look very good. Oh, doesn't smell good either. We just finished the 18-unit job over at Mike's building. Oh, God, $15,000 and 3 weeks to finish the job. We're still waiting to get paid.
By the way, this is just the lobby. I haven't been there for a while and we're noticing all kinds of leaks and stuff like that.
Let's go up to number 4 and work our way down.
So we go to number 4. It's a 4-unit building. So basically you got 4, 3, 2, 1. So apartment number 4 is occupied by Jonathan. Jonathan is a 32-year-old tech worker with Google. He's a software engineer. And he's got the top floor, beautiful views of Dolores Park. He pays, probably the only guy who pays market rent, around $3,600 a month. He makes $250,000 a year.
I haven't noticed any leak, but there was I've got a list of things that really concern me. I woke up this morning and there were 2 roaches on my pillow looking at me. And I have a list of a few other things, I changed the manual thermostat and I put the Nest thermostat on and my heater's still not working. And the hot water takes forever to show up. And by the way, are you aware of Harry downstairs in number 3, he walks around in his pajamas all day, up and down in the lobby in the middle of the night, talking to himself. Doesn't he have any family or anyone like that? And the kid in number 1 screams all day. It's driving me crazy.
Jonathan, yeah, I'm really sorry about the roaches. I did arrange for a local exterminator company to treat the building, but out here in the Mission, these roaches travel back and forth from building to building. It's just, especially in the winter, it's really bad. And by the way, I could arrange for my handyman to put the old thermostat back on if you want, and the hot water heater, it takes a while. Harry, I don't know if he has any family, I don't know. And the kid in number 1, I think he's got some kind of PTSD ever since they took his father away 2 weeks ago.
No, I want my Nest. Don't please, keep my Nest.
Okay, no problem. So in the meantime, Joe's in the bathroom, he's checking the thing.
Yeah, there's no leak. There's no leak in there, but Jonathan, I did check the hot water heater, and it seems like it's working fine. It just takes a minute to show up. By the way, I heard you work for Google, huh?
Yeah. Hey, my son,
He's graduating from high school. We were wondering how a guy gets a job at Google.
well, I went to Stanford, got my master's, and so your son has to get good grades and he has to go to a good school and make lots of good connections if he wants to make it big in tech. But is that what he really wants to do?
Well, I hope not. I hope he follows my footsteps and takes over my plumbing business. By the way, Jonathan, I heard at Google in the news that you guys are selling our information to the Chinese and the Russians. I mean, whose side are you guys on?
Well, I really don't know what goes on with all the algorithms. Look, it's the big bosses. They have all kinds of plans with our information. They're probably even listening to us right now. And look, I just do my job, follow orders so that they don't, I can keep my job. By the way, Joe, I've never said this to anyone, but back home in Ohio, I wanted to be a plumber with my cousins, but my parents wouldn't let me. So I came to San Francisco and got into tech and went to school, and I thought I would find time to enjoy the scenery and go to good restaurants and maybe do some dating. And I can't get away from my computer screen. Between you and I, tech sucks.
Well, hey, Jonathan, if you want, you could always come and work for Joe's Plumbing. See how you like?
Hey, yeah, we could trade places. You can come and work for Google and see how you like tech, but don't turn into a zombie. We need plumbers.
Yeah, right. Okay. Hi, this is Joe with Google. Guess what, you morons? At Google, we're following you wherever you go, and we're listening and watching every move you make. Without you knowing it, you're turning into zombie consumers of crap. While you ruin the planet, going to death, become even more lonely and isolated in our zombie nation. Oh, God. No thanks, Jonathan. God, I love being a plumber, but thanks anyways. Let's go down to number 3.
So we'll go down to number 3. Number 3 is occupied by Harry. Harry is a 79-year-old gentleman who's lived in this unit for a long time. And his apartment, his living room walls are covered with old music posters going back from the 60s and 70s. And he's still in his pajamas. I haven't noticed any roaches, but there is a horrible smell coming from apartment number 2 below, like someone is dead or something. Now, just a side note, there's some strange things going on between Jonathan and Harry. I mean, I see the footage, on the security cameras that I have set up in the hallways and in the lobby. I mean, they exchange money, packages, they fight, they argue, and so I have it all on tape, which I'll show you in the next segment, probably part 2.
Yeah, Harry, you're right. There's no leak, but I did tighten your toilet seat so you don't fall into something. By the way, Harry, I heard you got a really good deal on this apartment, huh? Well, thank God for rent control. I pay $600 a month. I mean, I'd be on the streets without it, especially now. Yeah, I worry about my own daughter. I mean, she's a hardworking, educated school teacher over at Mission High, and she barely can afford to live in this city. I mean, the greedy landlords keep raising the rent, and the government doesn't pay them a livable wage. I mean, next to being a plumber, a teacher is the most noble profession there is. Well, I agree with you, Joe. But San Francisco was amazing when I came here in '66. I mean, the rent was cheap. Sorry, I got asthma. People were kind, and we were all united and stopping the Vietnam War. I don't know how I survived being shot so many times, and we used to all go to the same concerts and listen to the same music. I went and heard Jimmy at the Matrix. You guys remember that? At Fillmore, actually. You're probably too young, but there's gotta be something out of here. This is too much confusion. Oh, I even saw Jefferson airplane over at the Matrix in '68. You guys remember that? You're probably too young, but don't you want somebody to love? Don't you want somebody to love? I can't remember the rest of the line. Who doesn't want love, And I mean, this was a city where I found community, peace and love, and now we have an invasion of these rich, picky kids like Jonathan, who walk around like zombies on their phones all day. They don't even look up to say hi, and their music is crap, all kinds of tech noise and static, boom, boom, bang, bang. What the hell are these kids on? Well, their ecstasy and shrooms are all right, but ayahuasca shit? Oh, ooh, you'll throw up all day if you take that shit. Yeah, Harry, I grew up in San Francisco over in the Sunset District. My dad was the president of the Plumbers Union in '68. He even used to listen to some of these songs. I remember him humming them all the time. And as a kid, I was always wondering what the heck he's talking about. And, we would have stayed in the house, but we just couldn't afford it anymore when they died. So we had to move to Vallejo, and we found out that it wasn't until that, when they died that they were being scammed by all kinds of loan sharks and banks and God knows who else, and debt is like a plague. It's generational and just follows you wherever you go. Their debt is my debt. And I have to figure out how to pay it off. Hey, Koorosh, got any cheap apartments for us to rent? Joe, I'm sorry. I mean, maybe I don't, they're all full, but maybe you could check with Mike, and now Mike, I want to mention Mike. Mike is a not greedy, but he's a huge landlord, very rich landlord in San Francisco. He owns a couple dozen buildings. And I happened to meet him at an apartment house association meeting in San Francisco, and he referred me to Joe. Yeah. Mike rented an affordable, reasonable apartment at Mike's building. I tried, okay? Look, Mike, like a lot of greedy landlords in the city, they're out to shortchange, okay? They screw their tenants, they're vendors, they evict people for no reason. They mock and belittle people. And after all the plumbing repairs, sewer leaks, just because, and all the calls in the middle of the night because some moron tenant took a huge crap and then dumped a bunch of toilet paper and tampons and God knows what else, causing an overflow and then shortchanging us hardworking people of San Francisco who do all their dirty work and solve their problems so those bastards could become so rich? I know what you're talking about, Joe. I mean, it was never this bad, but keep the faith, man. I mean, maybe send greedy Mike some love. He's probably in a lot of pain. I'm doing my best, Harry. But I also have to keep a roof over my head. Let's go down to number one. So we head down to number one. We skip number two because we think that's sort of where the leak is coming from. So we skip Nancy's apartment, and she's a tough tenant. So we go down to number one. Number one is occupied by Marta, Jose, her husband, and Miguel, who's around 9 years old. And they're immigrants from El Salvador. And I gave them a good deal at $2,000 a month because I'm also an immigrant, Hola, Marta, ¿cómo estás? Marta, Joe and I are here to check the toilet for a possible leak. Hola, Koorosh, ¿cómo estás? Marta, do you also have the rent? Lo siento, Koorosh. I'm so sorry. I will try to have it for you next month. Martha, look, I also have a mortgage. I have bills to pay. Can you borrow the money from someone, maybe your friends or family? No, Koorosh, ever since Jose was deported back to El Salvador 2 months ago or 2 weeks ago, I have no one to help me and I can't work because I have to take care of Miguel. Now, Miguel is sitting down at the end of the hallway and he's kind of slouched over. Maybe I could maybe do some work for you around the building in exchange for some rent. Martha, I don't know what I have available, but I'll check and get back to you, And as soon as I finish that segment, Miguel is looking at me, he kind of crawl over. ¿Dónde está mi papá? Mi quiero mi papá. ¿Dónde está mi papá? Dios ayudarnos. Miguel, ve a tu cuarto, por favor. Ve a tu cuarto. Koorosh, we walked 6 months to come here from El Salvador with Miguel and some clothes on our backs. Thank God for this apartment and our job as custodians over at the middle school. And now, Yeah, hey, I found, there's sewage coming down from Martha's bathroom ceiling from apartment 2 above, and it's going down through the sides, inside the walls, and down into the subfloor and down into the lobby. I mean, it's been going on for about Martha. Why didn't you report this?
I don't know. I don't know. So we head down to we go up to number 2, because now we think that that's where the problem is starting. Now we go to Nancy's apartment. Nancy lives in a 2-bedroom with her 2 kids, 5 and 7. She's a 50-year-old social worker who works for the city of San Francisco, and she's a chronic hoarder. And just a little backstory, I did issue Nancy several warning notices last year because she was creating a hazardous situation with her hoarding. I mean, dangerous situation, not just for her and her kids, but everyone else in the building. I even notified Child Protective Welfare Services, I have to, and also the health department. And none of those departments responded in helping Nancy clean up her act. Hi, Nancy. Joe and I are here to inspect your toilet for a possible leak, as our notice indicates. Joe squeezes his way through this narrow hallway that's very, very cluttered. He's a big guy, so he barely gets into the bathroom and he does his thing. And as I enter into Nancy's apartment, she hands me a notice with a letter CC'd to the police department, fire department, San Francisco Rent Control Board, and the health department, accusing me of creating an uninhabitable apartment and a hazardous situation. And so just as soon as I'm about to grab the notices, I hear Joe, I found the leak. So Nancy and I kind of get into the bathroom, and there's Joe. Yeah, the toilet overflows because of all this. Lady, how did all this end up in the toilet? It wasn't us. And the pipes are old. And I work for the city of San Francisco. I know my right. I want this fixed now. Yeah, you want this fixed now. Right. Hey, you're not the only one who has rights. I have rights. We all have rights, and you should have reported us. I've been working for this city since 1995 and helping poor people, disabled people, homeless people, low-income tenants. And I know what goes in this toilet, and it wasn't this stuff. Yeah, right, lady. The toilet just grabs things. It's got a mind of its own. And here we go. Barbie heads end up in the toilet. Underwear end up in the toilet. Shower caps end up in the toilet. Oh, plastic dinosaurs end up in the toilet. Watch out. Watch out. It's alive. I've been working for the city for 25 years, and now a plumber thinks he can talk to me. It's like, this way, I've dedicated myself to this city. Well, I've dedicated 30 years of my life to being a great plumber in this city, and I've never seen a toilet that has a mind of its own. And watch out, it may grab one of you. I mean, and those roaches everyone's complaining about in the building, they're coming from here. Look at them running around. I hate roaches, okay? 3 down and a million to go. Okay, everyone, guys, take a couple deep breaths. Nancy, look, this is an emergency, okay? Joe and his crew need to get here tomorrow at 9 o'clock and start the repair. So please flush as few times as possible. Also, the sewer line's cracked, so it may take a while. I head out. Joe, let's go. I head out, but Joe's having a real problem. For some reason, he's stuck. Lady, this isn't just a plumbing emergency. It's a fire trap. How the hell have you let your kid live like this? Joe, come on, let's go. Nancy, look, Joe and his crew will be here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Please clear out the hallway so they can get into the bathroom, okay? All right, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. You like this excerpt? Hopefully you'll see part 2, but Grandma's $1 Million Scheme is happening March 30th. It's a great 1 hour and 20-minute show about the incarcerated system and white collar criminals getting away with murder, literally. It's a comedy, dark comedy. I've got flyers on that table and some out there. So thank you for supporting our theater. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right, we're gonna just take a couple of minutes and get some stools on stage for our performers to sit on. So we can do a little Q&A. Somebody's love. For 3 terrific performances, let's have another round of applause. And, you know, this is just, for me, it's sort of a classic. 3 really good performances, 3 very different subjects. But it's sort of underneath, I think there may be some connected themes, but let me just turn this over to our wonderful audience members here, all 4 of you, 4 hardy souls.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Does anybody have any question or anything they want to say? Yeah, I really like this part. I want to hear more about that. Or comments or questions? Anybody? I know it may feel on the spot. Oh, Jackie comes through. Go ahead.
Jackie comes through. Nice.
Wow, I found a couple of them to be more stressful. But I want to know the outcome of them. So on all of them, are they performances that are going to be in bigger pieces? So you hear more of how you got out of prison, how you dealt with the flooded lobby, or what you did with your invisible life?
Yes, we are working on the show so that it has 4 complete acts, a little bit under an hour. Seems to be the model that we're being shaped in. Ambient sound. This will be going on September 7th. We look to be up and running at the new Marin Shakespeare at 514 4th Street in San Rafael. And there are pieces that I'll be doing the 3rd and 4th, 2nd and 3rd for the UC system. I was so fortunate to have the UC Santa Cruz picked me up and wanted to see the show, and I'm sure everybody else is looking forward to building out your complete piece. I mean, the thing that you're doing in, where was it? Grandma's, that's got to be a complete build out. Yeah.
It's thank you. Wow, that's awesome.
You didn't see that one coming, did you?
No.
Okay.
I can't wait to come and see your play.
Thank you, brother.
Well, I mean, you want to go next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the center piece of my whole piece. The first 20 minutes you learn why I developed this superpower. Then this is me learning how to manipulate the superpower. Then the last section is me losing control of the superpower. And the superpower really serves as a metaphor for a lot of stuff that's set up in the first 20 minutes, which you guys didn't get to hear today. So yeah, this will be a full length hour and 10 minutes. I'll perform it. It'll probably debut in Fresno in March, but I'll be performing lots of sections of it until then. Because this is the first time I've ever done this section. This is brand new. First time I've ever done this section in front of people. So I had to learn a lot about this today.
Awesome.
So yeah, I hope you come.
Well, it's an honor to be with my colleagues here and all of you. And I spend a lot of time studying culture and issues around inequity and greed, and that's my work, and to me, this is a form of documentary theater. I'm not just a small mom and pop landlord, but I'm also a conscious landlord, and I know what's going on with tenants. And so I'm wanting to share in the next 30, 40 minutes of this play as it develops, what happens with greedy landlords, and are they going to have a transformation? That's going to be the mystery. And who, what is going to happen basically in America, where there's going to be a truth telling and a reckoning on stage, and you'll have to wait and see when it comes out, because it's the root of a lot of problems. It's toxic capitalism, right? And so that's my job, is to tell the story from my own experience. But I hope that all the pieces will come, because there's like 10, 15 characters, a lot of more tenants, there's the people who became homeless eventually, greedy landlords like Mike, and there's 2 other greedy landlords that have to come on stage and talk about why they turned so twisted and they're hoarding. And it's right outside our door. It's not like this is something that we're making up. It's happening right here, actually a couple blocks from here. So to me, it's the real journey of the immigrant becoming, blessed to now be able to tell the story, what's happening. So let's see how it goes.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you. No, bro. Thank you. Thank you. So I don't know, anybody else?
How did you guys all develop your stuff? Is it, are you writers or actor or?
So I'm an actor, been an actor in Chicago and the Bay Area for a long time. A good friend of mine does these, solo performances, and he said to me, hey, you know what, you should write something. I think you're a writer. And so I took one of David Ford's classes, whom I'm sure you are all familiar with, the maestro of the monologue. And it turns out I am. And so I just didn't know what my story was. And so my first piece was called The Paris Effect, and it's actually written about that gentleman sitting in front of you. And I'm still performing that. I'll be at Maroon Shakes doing that in May as well. So this is my second big piece, and I really wanted to talk about the male gaze and how women are. My generation wasn't really taught how to own their femininity or their sexuality, and how it was sort of used against us. And so David really helped. He just said, just write a bunch of your real stories, and I did, and then we're putting them together. So,
That's awesome.
are you a writer?
No.
Are you an actor?
No.
I bet you do. I bet you are.
I just enjoy theater.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you
great.
so
Thanks
much.
for coming. Yeah.
Born in '64, kind of a turbulent time in our country. Father and mother were dreamers, California dreamers. We moved from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Yeah. 50 feet from the beach, never touched the sand before. Went to school, and lo and behold, that was different. But pencil and paper became my friend at a very young age, and they were my constant companion throughout 23 years of my life that I forfeited. And it was a way of healing. It was a way of getting to the root of my heinous crime. They are a way in which I get to woo the person that I love. They are a way that I reach out and tell my sister how much I appreciate her. So writing has long been one of my favorite things. And it's funny, here's the thing in prison. Until you get to a certain level, you're only able to write with a golf pencil. And why do you think they will only allow you to write with a golf pencil? Very, very
I go
good.
so far in.
I literally was reprimanded on 6 occasions while I was on a level 4 prison, the highest level that you can be, for having a pencil, full-length pencil. Put in solitary confinement once for having a full-length pencil.
Wow.
So how did you know you were an actor then? Because clearly you are.
I don't know that I am. I just know, what I know is, forfeiting my life, growing up with a military father, a hippie mother, and a sister that's out of this world, gave me ganas. It gave me ganas, and I love the thrill of being on the high wire, and that's what this does for me. So I don't know that I can, I don't know that I cannot, I know that I can only do. So thank you for coming out, and thank you for the question. What about you, bro?
No, it's kind of similar. I mean, I'm an immigrant and English is my second language. And I just, as an immigrant, you know, I followed my mom's footsteps in learning how to survive. She was a single mom with 3 kids. And she made it really big in real estate. And I followed her footsteps. And I realized there's so many stories to tell, again, about mindfulness and money. And so I wrote a book about that, which is out there, called The Money Anxiety Cure. And it's a good book because I read it all the time. I like reading it. It's easy to forget,
Right.
like what the purpose of all this material world. But this, to me, is a form of therapy.
I can dig it up.
You know, right? We're doing this, it's survival. It's like letting us out of our own inner prison and maybe even outer prison. And so, and plus documenting this work, your life story is so important for people to hear. I think it's mostly therapeutic. And so it feels good.
Yeah, it does feel.
Yeah.
But it also teaches us that we all have a story.
Yeah.
Like, everybody has an extraordinary story to tell.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly, yeah, absolutely. And I used to work at a local jail for 10 years. So my best friends were incarcerated and they were my greatest teachers. Because we spent so much time practicing poetry, movement, and we did a lot of theater improv. And it was so therapeutic and helpful. And they were telling stories. Every day we'd show up and they'd have stories written. And so I want to say they are truly my teachers, you know, so much to teach. But anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Really.
Well, I have kind of a big question. Let's see if this works, because when I started, I said, you know, I feel like there's some theme that's sort of, even though your stories are so different. And what occurred to me as we were talking, that there's a theme of injustice of some kind that runs through all 3 of your stories. You know, Laura Jane, I think the way you're treated by men, right? There's an injustice there, right? And you know, you may not be that kind of a landlord, right? But you have people who are dealing with this sort of unjust system, and you know, AJ, for whatever you did, it seems to me like there's an injustice in sort of, at least to me, in the way we treat people who committed some kind of crime, you know, to the point that you have a pencil that's longer than this, they put you in solitary confinement. So, okay, so that's sort of one thing I see. So I guess, that's why I said sort of a big question. I mean, can you see any of that sort of sense of injustice in your own story? And is that something you've thought about at all? And I don't know, I guess I'll go down. And if it doesn't feel like it applies to your story, you don't see it that way, that I get that. So, AJ, let me start with you.
Sure. First and foremost, I deserve the sentence that I got. The treatment, once there, I was on my own once again, and I was treated accordingly. When I figured out how to work both sides for my favor, I still treated myself unjustly because I hadn't come to that point where I could forgive myself for what I had done. So I took those chances, those risks to improve upon it. And solitary confinement can do a lot of wicked things to you within 72 hours. By the grace of everything great and small, something came to me when I was about to throw the biggest pity party in my life and rescued me. And that was a just thing. And that just thing that wasn't in and of me, it was something supernatural, superpower. Gave me the opportunity to take a breath, take a reevaluation, and then start working to cure some of the injustices within myself and within my surroundings. Thank you for the question, yeah.
Wow. Really, really. I would, thank you.
Yeah, man.
You know, I think for me, it's similar. I'm here to solve a problem. And instead of telling greedy, sick people like you're crazy and all, it's like, I feel like I'm preaching, and I really have the intention to use art to really bring up this question of where is your moral compass lining up? And I hope to have this place filled with landlords and tenants and everyone and people, ordinary people, and
Speak it into existence.
yeah, and we're just telling stories about what's happening, and hopefully people will be inspired to make a shift, even a little shift. It did for me. I know art for me, like you, has made a shift. So if it works for me, why can't we dismantle toxic capitalism and greed and hatred and create housing for everybody? And so I'm on a mission around that. I really want to take this out on the road and help people, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the injustice with mine, but there is a I do trust that everyone has felt invisible in their life at some point, and that there are ways to find the positivity in that, and also ways to fix being invisible and making sure that we are seeing everyone and reaching out to others. But I think that's sort of how the injustice hooks into mine.
Well put.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Any last question? Okay, so here's the last question I'll have for all of you. How can we, social media, internet, carrier pigeon, how do we get a hold of you, or how do we find out sort of what you're up to and where you'll be in the future performing wise? And let's start with you, Laura Jane.
You can go to Laura J. Bailey, LauraJBailey.com, and see what I'm doing. Like I said, I'll be doing the Fresno Fringe in March. I'll be bringing 20 minutes of this piece out until then, so just keep your eyes open. And I'll be doing the Paris Effect at Marin Shakespeare, and I'll be doing this entire piece at Brian Copeland's Solo Fest in San Leandro in September. So I'll be around. Keep your eyes open.
You need to just look up Koorosh Ostawari-art.com. I am a multidisciplinary artist. I'm promoting books, paintings, and a play. So, hey, I do it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
The March's very own Renaissance man.
Yes.
Anthony Michael Jefferson, IG, Chef AJ_ska on TikTok, Facebook. My next performance will be here the 22nd of January, where we look to be a little tighter and actually bring something for Alexa to work with. And then in April at the Marin Shakespeare, I will be playing probably Brutus.
Oh my God.
And Caesar's,
Man.
Marin Shakespeare is going to put on for their Return Citizen troupe, Caesar Twisted. So I'm looking to see what I get to play with and how I get to learn and stretch from our experience here at the beautiful San Francisco Mall.
That'd be great.
Thank you very much, Arnie.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.